Hi guys, look who's back. It's Rampy. Say hi. Hi everyone. Thank you so much for joining Rampy and I, or Miss Jimenez and Rampy, on another video for the reading of Because of Winn-Dixie by Kate DiCamillo. And we are now starting chapter 4. And just a little recap or a little summary of what has happened in chapters 1 through 3. Pretty much, Opal literally finds a dog at a supermarket. And the supermarket's name is Winn-Dixie. She claims it as her dog, names him Winn-Dixie, takes Winn-Dixie home. Her daddy, the preacher, was not very convinced in keeping Winn-Dixie, but at the end, Winn-Dixie and Opal just convinced the preacher to keep him in. And now in chapter 3, when we read chapter 3, Opal pretty much wanted to know more about her mom. She wanted to know at least 10 things about her mom because she is 10. So in chapter 4, we're going to learn about those 10 things. And I did ask you to message me or Google on your Google Classroom and write those 10 things which you think they are. So we'll see if your predictions matched up to Opal's. And please follow along if you have the book also. Okay? So chapter 4 of Because of Winn-Dixie by Kate DiCamillo. 1, said the preacher. We were sitting on the couch and Winn-Dixie was sitting between us. Winn-Dixie had already decided that he liked the couch a lot. 1, said the preacher again. Winn-Dixie looked at him kind of hard. Your mama was funny. She could make just about anybody laugh. 2, he said. She had red hair and freckles. Just like me, I said. Just like you, the preacher nodded. 3, she liked to plant things. She had a talent for it. She could stick a tire in the ground and grow a car. And right now, you know that right there in that sentence, he is just exaggerating. If people could stick a tire in the ground and grow a car, we would have a lot of people sticking tires in the ground so they can get a new car. Winn-Dixie started chewing on his paw, and I tapped him on the head to make him stop. 4, said the preacher. She could run fast. If you were racing her, you could never let her get a head start because she would beat you for sure. I'm that way too, I said. Back home in Watley, I raced Liam Fullerton and beat him, and he said it wasn't fair because boys and girls shouldn't race each other to begin with. I told him he was just a sore loser. The preacher nodded. He was quiet for a minute. I'm ready for number 5, I told him. 5, he said. She couldn't cook. She burnt everything, including water. She had a hard time opening a can of beans. She couldn't make head nor tail of a piece of meat. 6. The preacher rubbed his nose and looked up at the ceiling. Winn-Dixie looked up too. Number 6 is that your mama loved a story. She would sit and listen to stories all day long. She loved to be told a story. She especially liked funny ones, stories that made her laugh. The preacher nodded his head like he was agreeing with himself. What's number 7? I asked. Let's see, he said. She knew all the constellations, every planet in the nighttime sky, every last one of them. She could name them and point them out, and she never got tired of looking up at them. Number 8, said the preacher, with his eyes closed, was that she hated being a preacher's wife. She says she just couldn't stand having the ladies at church judge what she was wearing and what she was cooking and how she was singing. She said it made her feel like a bug under a microscope. And if you ever seen a bug under a microscope, you put it under the microscope so you can see all the little details of that bug. So that's how she felt, like everyone was judging her, looking at her every movement, and she just had to be perfect. And she couldn't tolerate that. When Dixie lay down on the couch, he put his nose in the preacher's lap and his tail in mine. 10, said the preacher. 9, I told him. 9, said the preacher. She drank. She drank beer and whiskey and wine. Sometimes she couldn't stop drinking, and that made me and your mama fight quite a bit. Number 10, he said with a long sigh. Number 10 is that your mama loved you. She loved you very much. But she left me, I told him. She left us, said the preacher softly. I could see him pulling his old turtle head back into his dumb turtle shell. She packed her bags and left us, and she didn't leave one thing behind. Okay, I said. I got up off the couch when Dixie hopped off too. Thank you for telling me, I said. I went right back to my room and wrote down all 10 things that the preacher had told me. I wrote them down just the way he said them to me so that I wouldn't forget them. And then I read them out loud to Winn-Dixie until I had them memorized. I wanted to know those 10 things inside and out. That way, if my mama ever came back, I could recognize her and I would be able to grab her and hold on to her tight and not let her get away from me again. So that's the end of chapter 3 of Because of Winn-Dixie by Kate DiCamillo. And as you are listening to the story, you pretty much are visualizing just the excitement of Opal as she's listening to the preacher tell her all these things about her mom and a lot of the similarities that she has with her mom. So your Google assignment is to respond to that question that I'm going to tell you right now. The question is, what are 2 of the things that Opal's mom and Opal have in common? What are 2 similarities that Opal and her mom have in common? You can message me, you can write it on your Google Classroom, you can have a dinner talk about it. Well, I just want to thank you, and I want to thank Rampy because he did such an amazing job today. As you can tell, he was well behaved, and he actually just was a great, great dog. And if you want to keep buzzing about books, keep reading with Queen Bee. Bye.